All right, one more Mavs thing. Could that have been Dallas's one big chance? Because you just talked about how good the West was. I'm not really positive what Dallas's move is because they made all their moves. They traded all their assets. So basically their one big move would have to be, and by the way, I would not rule this out because I was really impressed by him in the Dallas games, but could Derek Lively become a guy?
Mm-hmm. I think he's already a guy.
No, I'm saying like a guy.
Capital G
Could he become a third star?
Tyson Chandler who can pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is in play. I just don't know if you're getting that Kyrie season again at the same level. And also, like, I'd be alarmed that against OKC and against Boston, Kyrie was bad. Kyrie was bad in the Boston games. I thought Kyrie was bad in the series, except for
they
game
got
4.
to the finals. So, like, whatever he was, there were nights where it was like, I think he was definitely deferential, and there might have been nights that he was bad, but like whatever he was doing, it worked.
I think he's also broadened out his game to the point. Boston is a bad example. It's a really tough matchup for him, and just clearly some kind of mental funk playing in that building that he needs to figure his way through. He's found ways to impact the game without just being the scorer whose turn he, like, when the ball comes to him, he takes over. I think he's done well off the ball. I think he's been better as a defender. I think he's been better kind of fitting into a team concept, even around someone like Luka, who can be challenging to play with if you don't know how to do it. So I think even the games where he came up with 12 to 16 points, some of those were really good games.
The OKC series especially.
That's a perfect example.
So I would think Lively making a jump.
That's the one.
And then how about Luka being healthier? We don't even need to talk about the being in shape thing. He definitely 100% was not healthy in that thing. And I saw him in 2 Clipper games in person. I was at every finals game. That dude was not healthy. He learned to play at a certain pace. And I thought all the shit he took, he wasn't good on defense.
He's going to take a lot of contact because that's his game. Like every single game, he had the Kurt Schilling sock going with the blood coming out of his knee and stuff like that. Like that's his game. And I think also like, for a guy like that, I think that it's kind of like playing on the edge is what gives him his juice. So it's like, I almost wonder whether or not like, you have to find your joy playing basketball, but like maybe screaming at refs is what fires him up and keeps him in this psycho zone.
Sometimes you got to find your rage playing basketball.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, like, I kind of think that like, if I'm Dallas, I'm pretty psyched with how all this played out, like, you didn't see what happened against Denver, but like, I would not.
Well, they're going to lose Derek Jones.
Even if they were in the 4 or 5 seed next season, I would still be like, I'm keeping my eye on Dallas.
Yeah.
They've earned that.
Especially if Luka comes in 15 pounds lighter and he's like, my knee is now 100%.
Yeah.
Like that's just going to be a different team. I don't know how they're going to keep Derek Jones.
Is he playing the Olympics?
Luka, my guess would be, I think he's hurt. Like I actually think he's arthroscopic surgery hurt.
He seemed pretty dinged up.
Yeah. He wasn't right. You could see it.
Yeah.
And I think the Celtics knew that the whole time. And that was one of the reasons they were going at him, because you look at the way he would play in the first halves versus second halves. He didn't seem like he had his legs in the same way with his 3-point shot. His 3-point shot was bad.
Well, there were points in the Thunder series where I was like, Luka's dead. Like, Luka is
game 1.
He is getting slammed on the ground. He's barely getting up. And then he's like kind of like limping up the court. And then like against the Wolves, he looked like fucking Superman.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what to say.
It's tough to gauge in that way. But
Embiid is like that too, where you're like, oh, he just blew his knee out. And then it's like, oh no, he
falls down 5 times. Yeah, Luka's 6 years, 22 conference finals, 2024 finals. This is a really good career.
Yeah.
If I asked you, Luka is definitely going to win a championship or Luka will never win a championship, which one would you pick?
I think
this is now a get up segment.
Yeah, no, we were talking about
this. You have to pick one or the other.
We had 1.5 titles for Luka's over under. We did this at group chat live last night.
1.5.
And I smashed the under.
I would go under.
I think
he gets one though.
I think it's the one. I feel like he feels like the kind of player who will win at some point, who will break through, but might need some things to break his way, even if that's just the conference kind of clearing out for him a little bit over time.
Yeah.
The best guys ever who didn't win a title, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. I'm putting Elgin Baylor on there, even though he got a ring. He retired during that 72 Lakers thing. I think he counts. Ewing, James Harden, Steve Nash, George Gervin, Chris Paul, Stockton, Iverson.
See, you list all those players.
Luka's better than all those guys.
That's my thought. He is a better player. And that
by
may
the way,
seem like
I love
sacrilege.
Barkley, but Luka's slightly better than Barkley.
I'm having a brain aneurysm trying to understand Luka over Iverson right now. But okay.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, so that's the thing. If he doesn't win a title, he goes in that group, and it would feel like he's the best guy in that group from what we've seen so far.
I think that this is a real building block. I think that they are like, okay, conference finals, it didn't go our way, but that's like a really weird game 3 away from maybe this being much more competitive.
Yeah.
And they can build off of that. And I think that they can go into any series pretty much, with few exceptions, being like, we've got the best guy.
I thought their team stunk in the finals for what they were capable of. Like, you just go through it. PJ sucked. He couldn't hit a 3. Derek Jones couldn't hit a 3. Kleba almost looked like his shoulder was broken.
Yeah, I think he
couldn't make anything. Lively sucked in the Boston games. Like, you going down the line, like, and then I thought Kidd coached a bad series. Like, I thought Exum should have played a bunch. We were scared of Exum.
It took him a long time to figure out who should be playing and who
in game
shouldn't.
5. Yeah, he was like grabbing for straws. And on the one hand, it's like, oh, Jay Kidd, Wiley playoff veteran, figuring it out. It's like, on the other hand, it's
you play 11 guys,
right? Play Exum. He's tall and athletic and can create and didn't seem scared.
It's also like, it's easy is strong. Usually the guy who coaches a good series is the guy who has all the options.
Yeah.
Right. True.
And the Celtics have all the options.
It's only like Spo, really, that we're like, oh, he might have gotten his ass kicked, but look at all the stuff he did. So it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you have Kyrie overrated, properly rated, underrated?
I think we've arrived at properly rated through perhaps rose-tinted glasses, right? Like, I think
this is a warm and fuzzy moment.
Yeah, I think
Kyrie
we've
Irving
arrived
story.
at like, we got out of this entire finals without a massive controversy. And also you seem like you're in a better place. And every once in a while, you just do something I've like only seen 2 dudes do on a basketball court in my life.
I think properly rated. And I think he's been properly rated this whole time. I think we were rightly down on him. I think he has changed a ton of things about how he does his job.
Yeah.
And what kind of teammate he is and who he is in the ecosystem of a franchise. And those are huge, meaningful things.
Several people have brought up the similarities between the Kyrie-Luka pairing and the Kyrie-LeBron pairing in Cleveland. And it did make me think a little bit about like the player empowerment era or the superstar movement era and the super team era, and how infrequently those super teams actually like fit together as pieces.
Yeah.
Phoenix is a great example of this, where it's like nobody there really knows like what they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And it'll be really interesting to see Bud coaching those guys and whether or not it all clicks together because Budenholzer's a really good coach, or if it continues to be like 3 guys playing completely separate basketball games from one another. But like Kyrie found the partner he needed after years of wandering around looking for it. And it'll be interesting to see if
it's like continues. When you found Greenwald.
That's right.
Are you the Kyrie or are you the Luka?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, we don't talk about 1A, 1B with the watch. I have Kyrie as overrated.
Currently overrated.
What a shock. Yeah.
What a shock. What am I, a Kyrie basher?
No.
You have a history.
Yeah.
I have a relationship.
I talked to Jackie McMullen about this, but it was great to see her. And she put it perfectly. The players, the stuff Kyrie does, the players are the most impressed by it because they know how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's a lot of ex-players on podcasts, on TV shows, and they all are glass half full completely on Kyrie.
Who was it that called him the most? I think LeBron said he's the most skilled player in the history of the game.
I think a bunch of people have
said
the Conn
that.
Smythe Award.
Yeah. A bunch of people say stuff like that, though. Perk does he's the most skilled offensive player ever. Kyrie's been 22 points a game in the playoffs for like 7 years. Like his last 44 games, he's 22 points a game. He's 45% shooting, but it's always allowed 22. And I thought in this series, I just thought the Celtics were pretty easily able to control him.
Yeah.
He took 20 shots a game and he didn't, 19.8 shots a game, 19.8 points a game. And a lot of hero ball stuff, a lot of stuff down the stretch that they were just easily able to stop and make him take bad shots. Game 3, Luka fouls out. That was kind of the moment for him.
But that was so chaotic. Like, I think that
was a moment, though.
Yeah.
It's like, if Kyrie is really the most skilled offensive player ever and as good as everyone says, like, okay, let's see it. This is the time.
This is why teams do not build around undersized guards.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think it's like that moment showed the limitations of his shot making. And so did the Celtics series more broadly. Really good when you can kind of put him off to the side playing off
you
of
can be a god,
like
but if 5 guys are like absolutely not, you are not like...
If every possession lives and dies on you working a high pick and roll in the way Luka does, your team will fail. And that's fine. Not many guys can do that.
Where'd you have him in top 100? I had him 23rd.
I think I ended up a little higher than that, but roughly that range. I remember I ended up with him, like Jamal Murray, Dame, like that kind of peer group, which is not a bad place to be.
No, and that's the thing. He's played himself back into that group. But the way people were talking about him, like as an all-time incredible, I don't think he's the guy that he was in 16 and 17 anymore. And the stats back it up. He was more explosive. He was a better shooter. He was 27 to 30 plus every playoff game, and he's just not that guy anymore.
I mean, who among us is the same guy we were at 26? Like, we've seen some shit, though.
Fair.
You know?
But I just was surprised the glass half full with him. Like, you don't care about Kyrie either way. Like, what did you think agnostically watching it?
Yeah, I think he's capable of like dazzling moments, and I think within the context of that team, like, he was very effective. Like, there has to be some knock-on effect from the way Kyrie chose to play and the way that Gafford and Lively and Washington improved over the course of the playoffs.
But when it got to, do you have the 2 best guys in the series? And people were making that point in a real, like, serious way. Like, that's why I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What are you guys fucking doing? They went 50-32 during the season and then won some playoff series.
But I don't think
it's
fair to be like, Kyrie didn't single-handedly beat the Celtics in Game 3 when they came all the way back. Instead of being like, Luka fucked that up by not getting his head on his shoulders.
He did. I'm just saying that was a moment for Kyrie.
Okay.
That maybe you come through there and you win that game.
Yeah, but it was like more of a moment where it was like, hey,
lofts him.
Yeah.
But this is a hugely successful playoff run for Luka, even though he's gotten a lot of criticism. For Kyrie, even though we've seen some of his limitations.
And Lively
for
the
like
Mavs.
All these guys.
And
made the finals.
Lively, I think, was the other.
Awesome.
They clearly have something really special.
And he did this in a point where, like, wasn't it a mid-season ownership transfer? I mean, like, like the amount of stuff going on behind the scenes, like, it's crazy.
Heard some fun stuff about that.